Greetings from the Professional Grounds Management Society. My name is Mark Feist, currently serving the PGMS membership as President-elect and keeping up with my daytime job as Assistant Director of Facility Operations at American University in Washington, D.C. Today's PGMS Behind the Scenes program features three dynamic guests. Michael Gildea, Garden and Grounds Manager, Chevy Chase Club, located in Chevy Chase, Maryland, and past President of the PGMS DC branch. Emma Morris and Carly Barrett. Both Emma and Carly are horticulture students at the University of Maryland and are currently horticulture interns at the Chevy Chase Club. So I wanted to dig right in and ask each of you, Michael and Emma and Carly, to tell us a little bit about yourself and how you first became interested in horticulture.
I guess I can start. I've actually worked in horticulture all my life. Both my parents were pretty avid gardeners, particularly my mom. And I have four brothers and sisters. We were all cheap labor in the garden, and actually grew up right down the street from Bartram's Gardens, the first botanical garden in the United States. That was one of my playgrounds. So I would say that really got me in the horticulture early in life. So.
I guess I'll go next. So I've been a longtime resident of Silver Spring. Guess I've, when I was younger, everybody in my classes used to love animals. So everybody always said they wanted to be a vet, but I always was the vegetable rice and peas kind of kid. I was outside climbing the trees, and I think my path in horticulture really sort of took off when I found out that I could study that in college. Before I transferred to Maryland, I was at Montgomery College, and I had great teachers there in the horticulture program.
That's great.
So I grew up around plants a lot. My dad worked in the field of horticulture a long time ago, before some career changes. So I was around it, but I was a kid, so I didn't appreciate it too much, unfortunately, until I got older. So I went to college first as a music major with just a addiction to collecting house plants. But after a couple of years, it turned into, less of a hobby and more of a potential career. I really enjoyed learning about, what makes plants work, how to design landscapes. And so I finished my music degree early and added a degree in horticulture, and I've loved every second of it. I've been having such a great time in the field.
Well, that's great. I asked that question because it typically comes up when I meet someone new. I'm typically asked how I became involved in horticulture as well. So, Michael, with having two of your best horticulture interns here, I was wondering if you could give us a little more detail about your internships at Chevy Chase Club.
Absolutely. So we've had an internship program for about 15 years. We've had interns from all over the country, but what we typically do, the internship is 12 to 14 weeks, depending on the student's availability. Typically, it goes from the beginning of May or mid-May through mid to late August. And so we have a pretty fixed program. We, in addition to working in the gardens and learning kind of different aspects of horticulture, our interns typically work on a project. And then we have them, we assign a leadership book. And then as part of our overall club internship program, we have leadership presentations by different senior staff at the club, and including our general manager, who will talk to our interns about various things. And then we have our food and beverage manager will talk about again, aspects of leadership. And this year we had our chef talk about what's involved in his profession, you know, and then they also, there's many other this year we're been doing a little bit on the fly with the changes. Typically we do some field trips and things as well, but obviously we haven't been able to do that this year. But so this year we had lots of applicants, and Emma and Carly are, we were really fortunate to have them join our team. And they are two of the best interns we've ever had, for sure. This is actually the second. Emma's returned for a second year, so this is Emma's second year with us.
That's wonderful. And maybe something for Emma and Carly, as far as how do you feel your horticulture internships have helped or are helping your career decision in pursuit of full-time employment in the green industry?
I can plug my ears if
I guess I'll start first. I think, well, what really drew me to the field of horticulture was an interest in public horticulture, because I like the idea of not only being able to put together and maintain a really pretty landscape, but then taking that extra step and then explaining to people that are looking at it, you know, what they're looking at and why they're looking at it, and then the potential to being able to take some of those aspects and bring them home with them to their own gardens. I think it's really important to be able to connect with people on that level. And so I think the biggest thing that I've learned overarching from this internship is that a place doesn't have to label itself a public garden in order to have that kind of public garden feel to it. I've definitely felt that at the Chevy Chase Club, even with COVID restrictions and less members being around and less interactions, that there's a lot of times where we're interacting with members and telling them what we're doing and why we're doing it and answering questions. So I think it's been really eye-opening for me to be able to see that just because a place doesn't have the description public garden doesn't mean that I can't find those aspects of public horticulture that I enjoy. So definitely seems like there's a lot more job opportunities out there than I realized, which is really great to have learned. And then also there's a lot of responsibilities that we have at the club that cover a wide range of horticultural topics, and it's been really great to have experience with different things and being able to figure out which things I like more than others, which will ultimately help me decide down the line what it really is that I want to be doing in my career.
Thank you.
So I agree with Carly. The Chevy Chase Club definitely has a culture of developing its interns both at a club level and a departmental level. It's been very stimulating. Everybody I've worked with is really, I feel very fortunate that everybody is constantly teaching me things and having me try new things. And so, for example, one of the things that Michael and I discussed this summer was integrated pest management, scouting, which has been really phenomenal to just apply what I've learned in class. And, you know, not only are we taught things, but we're also encouraged to develop our own initiative, you know, see what needs to be done and go do it. So it really kind of, so we are really looked as you know, team members, not just hands, extra hands for the summer. So it kind of gets more of a feel of what it is to work in the industry in this sort of career.
Well, thank you for that. It's great insight for how internships can help out and possibly even inspire you to go forward and with two great careers, hopefully in the horticulture area. So another question maybe for all three is how do you feel the green industry professional organizations help you personally achieve career goals? For example, networking, scholarships, gaining technical knowledge. So it's similar to the internship question, but insofar as other professional organizations outside of internships.
Well, I guess I'll go first. I mean, I think, you know, for me, you know, the professional organizations are, and actually in a lot of ways similar to us having interns, in that it keeps me sharp. I mean, you know, surrounding yourself by people that are at the top of their field, people that tend to participate in professiontional organizations, or people that tend to be people that are looking at our profession as a profession, as their career, and something that they want to be the best at. And again, I find that for our interns as well. They're people that are looking for a career. And so to me, surrounding myself by the best people that I can interact with both formally and informally just makes me a better leader. It makes me a better horticulturist. It makes me a better manager. You know, and it also gives me the opportunity to reach out to people that are doing new things. I mean, as simple as you and I, Mark. I mean, I met you trying to find a Christmas tree for the club, and still use that supplier. You know, it's simple things like that you know, that again, that just simple interactions that can lead to such great dividends. You know, things that I'm always surprised that path that they, you know, again, conversation, maybe informal conversations that I have at a meeting, things that they'll lead to and how they'll change my career in a positive way.
That's great. Emma or Carly? Yeah.
I would say that it's really the professional organizations have really helped me tremendously, both getting scholarships to be able to afford university. It's also been a great resource for me for, you know, this is the way how I found my current internship, was through the PGMS website. And also the the professional day that was held last year at American University. Some of these the events that the professional organizations sponsor and provide for us, I've gone to, and it has been really a great experience, just seeing the scope of the industry and the different fields that we can potentially go into. And it's just also a great educational opportunities for certifications and so forth that makes the future of this career is going to be a constant learning process, which will never get bored.
Yeah, so I agree with a lot of the things that Michael and Emma have said. It's wonderful for networking. And just like Emma, I also found this internship through PGMS. I got the email of job and internship opportunities, and I saw this on here, and I was like, hey, you know, I live nearby. Let me check this out. So it was really great. I'm so glad that I found that. And I graduate in December, and I definitely intend to use PGMS and other organizations as a resource to find job openings in the area for sure. And I think that it's also a great way to stay connected with others in the field and keep up to date on industry knowledge. Because like Emma said, it's constantly changing. You're constantly learning. And especially during times like these where we can't physically be with one another, things like the webinars have been super helpful. And it's a very convenient way from home to be able to keep up to date and learn new things.
Okay, well, thank you. And Emma mentioned we host a field day typically in July at American University through the DC branch of PGMS. This year, we actually were going to combine our field day with the regional meeting that we have every summer. And unfortunately, COVID-19 got in the way. But I just wanted to say that probably that makes it even better for next year, because we're already planning to repeat that event, which will be a great one. So you don't want to miss that as an opportunity. So it'll be July 2021 at American University next year. So our next segment of the PGMS Behind the Scenes will feature Michael Gildea guiding us virtually through the gardens at Chevy Chase Club. And Chevy Chase Club is located in Chevy Chase, Maryland, of all places, just outside the border of Northwest Washington, D.C. So at this point, we'll hand it over to Michael and sit back and enjoy the tour.
Okay, so I'll share my screen. And so I'll just go through kind of our brief overview of the club and kind of our history and just how horticulture is kind of integrated into every aspect of the club. So we were founded in 1892. We're 190 acres, as Mark said, in Chevy Chase, Maryland, just outside of Washington, D.C. One of the oldest golf courses in the area, well, actually one of the first golf courses in the country. The club has kind of a unique, has made a unique commitment to horticulture really from the very beginning. And it's one of the first committees they had started was a committee to preserve the green space. And then right after that, they started a committee for the forest, to preserve the forest. But horticulture really is integrated into every part of the club. I mean, it's in the wallpaper, in the and like say, our gardens are integrated into all the public spaces at the club. So overall, this is our department overview. So we have a department of 9 plus 2 interns. We're said fairly unique as far as clubs are concerned with the commitment to horticulture. We are a separate department from the golf course. I'm a member of our senior staff, as is our golf course manager. We work very closely together, but we are peers. So this is kind of an overview of our areas of responsibility. 2.5 acres of turf. We're responsible for all the trees on the property. About 1.75 acres of garden areas, greenhouses, floral arrangements, a lot of special events, paving, water features, benches, all the lighting, and then shared responsibility for about a 2.5 mile nature trail. This is some pictures of our staff. So this is a kind of a aerial shot of the club. You can see most of our grounds are the golf course. So like I say, the lots of very large trees. This is an American elm that is. There's some debate about this, but was purported to be planted by President Taft. But one of the things that's interesting is the club has conducted, so I've been here for 21 years, and the club has conducted 4 surveys since I've been here. And gardens are considered the #1 area of importance, and also the #1 area of satisfaction, which is, again, is pretty unique. Its members consider it more important even than the golf course or the tennis courts, which, again, pretty unique for a private club. As I mentioned, gardens are integrated into every aspect. We have gardens around the pools, around the tennis courts. We use lots of containers and again, just about everywhere. So this is our front entrance of the club. This is what we call our parterre and our entrance garden. We change this out 3 times per year. We typically keep the same design for 2 to 3 years, with just some tweaks, and then we'll do a major overhaul. We've done everything from all white gardens to various patterns to very simple plantings. But again, it changes through the season. So we do tulips for the spring. Then we have alliums a little bit later in the spring, and then we go to the summer gardens. Our rose garden is probably the most talked about garden at the club, and it's really truly our informal entrance. Most people will make a point of walking through the rose garden. We say that we spend about 40% of our time talking with our members. And I think when you're trying to work in the rose garden, you probably spend about 60% of the time in there talking to people, because as they walk through, almost everyone that walks through that garden feels a need to talk to you about the roses and ask questions, mostly about their own gardens. That's kind of a running joke that we have, is that about 80% of the questions that we get about the gardens are for people's own gardens, which again, we think of that as being a part of what we do. Is we want our members to think about the club as an extension of their home, and so that, you know, we're a resource that they can draw on. So our greenhouse and our chef's garden is again one of our really popular gardens. We this year, with with some labor restrictions, we've scaled it back a bit. We focus mostly on edible flowers and herbs, but we wound up producing quite a bit of herbs and again lots of edible flowers, things that are hard for the kitchen to get otherwise. We do a lot of edibles in the landscape. This hardy kiwis. We're going to have a bumper crop this year. Figs, again, chef is going to do a lot with these. September is garden month at the club, and so we'll have a garden themed menus throughout the month. So they'll do things with the figs and the kiwis and many of the other things. Our long border is about a 26,000 square foot mixed border. It's really the backyard of the club. It's where many wedding photos are taken. People cocktail back there. Again, social gathering place in a typical year, not so much this year. But again, changes a lot through the seasons. We do a lot with tulips in the spring. We have large events in the spring, so we focus our tulip display around Easter and some of the other early spring events. And then in the summer, we use a lot of tropicals and non-hardy plants that we then store in our greenhouses for the winter. So again, garden changes all constantly. Very diverse landscape. We believe that a diverse landscape is a resilient landscape. So we have a lot of predator insects and things that keep our use of pesticides to a minimum. One of our other gardens that's very close to our rose garden is our fragrance garden. Again, so we had a very diverse garden very close to our rose garden, which is pretty much a monoculture, not entirely, but close to a monoculture. Again, changes a lot, but we focused on plants that have a fragrance, things like hyssopus and some of the salvias and lots of lilies and again, things that plants that have fragrance, whether in their leaves when crushed or with their flowers. Also, a lot of plants that have an evening fragrance, like the brugmansias. Our spring and gazebo gardens are predominantly native plants, more so in the spring garden than the gazebo garden. Woodland gardens that really their focus of interest is in the spring, though in the summer there's still lots of things of interest. Our lobelia is in bloom right now. It has the hummingbirds on it, and then great for again with hosting smaller events now with the restrictions. the gazebo has become a very popular place for people to dine. Because it's separated from a lot of the other spaces, and people can have little private events there. We do say one of the things, again, it's fairly unique. We have lots of small seating areas, little intimate spaces where people, again, can sit quietly, read a book, or have cocktail. Again, lots of, in the gazebo garden, lots of spring ephemerals. We have collections of trilliums, 5 different species of trilliums. Lots of interesting, we'd say, bluebells and native plants. Our fitness center garden is really a meadow. This is viewed from our, when people are working out in the fitness center, they have views out across the meadow where we have lots of butterflies and birds and some interesting insect and animal life that they can see. And they also view across the golf course. One of our other areas of responsibility is the floral arrangements. We do floral arrangements for typically in our drawing room. And one of the things that Carly has been doing this summer is actually doing table arrangement, floral arrangements for our dance terrace, which is, again, we're focusing on just outdoor dining right now. And Carly's been doing the table arrangements for that and doing a wonderful job. Lots of compliments on her work with that. Again, as I mentioned, Mark and I met looking for a Christmas tree. And so this is kind of a view of some of the things that we do at Christmas time. We change the themes fairly often. When this was a year that we did kind of a Williamsburg theme where we incorporated a lot of fruit and dried flowers and things in our entrance area. So our drawing room tree is it's a 16-foot tall Colorado blue spruce. It actually has a root ball on it. Again, really a focus of a lot of both private events and club events. As a replica, you can see it, it's a replica of our clubhouse that a member built that is in front of the tree every year. Trees around it. We do a lot typically with the summer camp. This is where we were actually racing dust beetles and teaching kids about bugs and things, and just pretty fun. We do lots of garden tours usually with different themes. We'll focus on, some months we'll focus on insects and their predators. We've focused on some of our large trees. We focused on our small trees, like kind of how we plan for the future, how we, kind of the trees that we're planting today that their grandchildren will be standing underneath of, and then themes for the through the seasons. So again, I mentioned September is garden month. We have 2 plant sales a year, including one in the fall. And then with September's garden month this year, we're going to have presentations, webinars each week through the month of September that will have different themes about bird migration. We'll do talks about pruning. We'll do garden highlights, different things. We'll do a chef's garden dinner, again, featuring plants and fruits and vegetables that were harvested and herbs that were harvested from the garden. And then they'll have some garden themed cocktails as well, which will be really fun. So this is just a picture of our last year's garden dinner that we did out on our dance terrace. Great, always sells out, really popular event. Again, I mentioned our Christmas. We do workshops as well. We do several workshops during the year, not just for Christmas, but these are our most widely attended. We have about 200 people that attend these workshops. We do wreath making workshops, and our greens workshop is making table arrangements, basically mostly with greens that we cut from the grounds, greens and dried flowers and things that we've collected seed pods and so forth. Really, really fun events, really popular. And these are actually just some pictures of some PGMS meetings. So I kind of threw these in there to give a plug for the DC branch meeting. So this is a meeting that was hosted at Brookside Gardens. This was their brand new production greenhouse. It's really impressive operations, but really, really fun meeting, great event. And then this was two of our scholarship winners, I guess this was 2 years ago. And then this was at Mount Vernon, which was one of the gardens that we were going to visit this year, which we'll visit in 2021, I'm sure. Our PGMS meeting there, always big meetings, but we had, typically for the Mount Vernon meetings, we'll have 50, 60 people at those, always really popular. So that is it for our quick tour of the Chevy Chase Club.
Well, it was very refreshing today, taking the virtual tour from a conditioned office, because the temperatures are nearing 100 degrees today in Washington, D.C. So I've had the privilege of visiting the gardens in person many times. It's great to see your handiwork and what Emma and Carly and the rest of your staff are involved in day to day. So I want to thank you, Emma and Carly and Michael, for taking time out of your schedule and to give us a behind the scenes tour from Chevy Chase Club. And we really appreciate all that you do, and we'll look forward to great careers for Carly and Emma as they continue their internships and schooling at University of Maryland. But thank you very much, and we'll look forward to more of the behind the scenes tour from PGMS. Thank you.
Thank you.